Hi, welcome to the show today. I started off my morning really interesting and different. It was not at all what I thought my morning was going to be. I did an interview last week with a guy named Zac Russell, and that's the episode you're getting ready to hear. And when Zac reached out to me to be on my show, I was very interested to meet with him and to talk with him because his whole kind of vibe and story is that he wants to help people not live in the past and not necessarily live in the future, but to live in the present. And I am the worst person about actually living in the present, living now and thinking about now and not reanalyzing things that I've done in my past or what did I do wrong or what could I have done better or any of the things that most people probably overanalyze and rethink about things and how this impacted me and this is like going to be with me forever moving forward. I'm also really really bad about thinking about what do I need to do next? What's my future plans? What do I need to do tomorrow? I have lists going in my head every night when I go to sleep. But I need to do this, I need to do that. Even during the day, I write down list and then I write down another list on top of that list of the things that I need to accomplish on that original list. And then I have another list by the end of the day of, oh, nope, I'm not going to get all those things done. So these are the 3 things I have to get done today. And it's just like a constant not living in the present moment. Even whenever I'm on the weekends and I'm watching a movie with my husband or we're taking a walk or a bike ride or whatever we're doing, a hike, I always have something going on in my head about what's coming up next or what did I do that I didn't finish or am I overanalyzing maybe something I did at work or a podcast that I did that I didn't love the way it went and just thinking about things over and over and over. But he really went through an hour and a half session with me. And I think, as I feel right now, is the same day, I think it could have helped me kind of live more in the present, which is what I really hope it does. I hope tonight, whenever I lay down to try to go to sleep, that I'm not going through and living this kind of crazy over and over list in my head and thinking about what I need to do and thinking about or what I did. And I live in the present moment. And I have to say, when I started this call with him this morning, I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea like what his method was. When we did the interview, we didn't really talk about that. We just talked about the basic, like what his goal was, is to help people live in the present. And that most people don't live in the present. So part way through the hour and a half session, I started to feel lighter. I started to feel my shoulders kind of come down. I kind of felt the stress going away. He took me through a couple of different exercises. And um, the other interesting thing, I just wasn't thinking about, I was at the beginning of the conversation thinking about, okay, after I get off this call with this guy, like I got to do this, this, and this. But I would say halfway through, I wasn't thinking about what am I doing afterwards. I also wasn't thinking about what happened and some of the things that have impacted me in the last few weeks, kind of emotionally or psychologically. I even He even asked me like towards the end of the call, like, what are you thinking about now? And even at this moment, which has been several hours, I still can't even think about the past. I can't think about what I need to do in the future. I really am right now sitting here in the present moment. I'm not planning anything in my head. I'm not thinking about something I did that I could have done better or something that I did great or something that impacted me and gave me anxiety. I'm really now thinking like I'm here right now and I'm doing this podcast and I'm telling you about it. And that's what I'm thinking. And it's such a relief in a way. It's the only way I can explain it. But listen to his interview. If you're interested, I will put his contact information in the description of the podcast. It is not expensive to do one session with him. It is literally very affordable. I think he should actually be charging more for what the service he gave me today. And I asked him at the end, "How long will this last? What do I need to do to keep it up?" He goes, "You don't need to do anything. Like, you've achieved it. Like, you're done." So and again, it's been several hours since him and I met this morning, and I really am still there. And I thought I would for sure get right back into that routine after him and I ended our call, where I was going to start overthinking again and planning again and have the anxiety about something I think I did incorrectly or I could have done better and whatever. And it's not there. It is not there. I feel like a different person. I feel much lighter. I feel a sense of relief. And I hope that if you have these same symptoms, which I think most people do, that you will reach out to Zach and see if he can help you as well. So thanks for listening, and leave a comment and let me know if you reach out to him and what you think of the episode with Zach. Hi, thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything in a Bit Cave podcast. Today I have another Zach joining the podcast. His name is Zac Russell. He is based out of Canada, and we are going to have an amazing conversation today about, is it mental health is kind of what we're talking about, Zach, in a way? Is that, I mean, it seems like there's a methodology that you have that I would love to discuss, and just kind of bringing people into the present moment. Is that accurate?
I would say that is pretty accurate. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure to
no
be here.
problem. When I seen your kind of bio or profile, I really wanted to talk with you because I think that a lot of people, and we'll get more into discussion about this, but I think a lot of people don't live kind of including myself, don't live in the present moment. And I think about all the things in the past, or I think about the things in the future, and I can never get my mind to kind of be present and think about where I'm at right now. And I would love to kind of have you tell us about what your thoughts are on that. And I would definitely want to talk about your methodology. So could you kind of maybe let us know your thoughts on the whole, where our minds are all at now?
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, I would definitely agree with what you said. The majority of humans do not spend time in the present moment. We spend times in the illusory constructs of our mind.
Mm-hmm.
We spend our resources dedicated to thinking and ruminating and pontificating about things. And as you so just beautifully articulated, the idea of the past and the future, which is actually an illusion in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a past or the future.
So tell me what you mean by that, because I think I love it, but give me some details about what that means.
Right. So, I mean, in terms of your own perspective, it's valid. In terms of your own perspective, it's real. But in terms of the objectivity of reality, there is no such thing as the past or the future. So what do I mean by that? Well, the past is an artifact of your mind.
Mm.
The past is a construct. It's a visual, it's an auditory recollection of present moments that you have had in your life.
Mm.
And the same with the future, right? The future is an illusion. It's a fantasy, it's a projection. So as you just beautifully articulated a minute ago, you have a difficult time thinking about the present moment.
Yeah.
You're always thinking about the past or thinking about the illusion of the future of what will come. And the kind of, it's all wrapped up in what you just said there, right? You have a hard time thinking about it.
Yeah.
See, anytime we're thinking, mm-hmm. we're actually lost in the constructs of our mind and the constructs of our ego. We're not in the experience of life. See, life is meant to be experienced, not meant to be thought about. So when you're in the present moment, as you say, thinking about the past or the future, you're actually not in the present moment living.
Yeah.
You're in the mind thinking about the past or thinking about the future. So I'm not sure if that answered your question.
It did, because that is exactly what I feel like how I live my life a lot of the times, is thinking about what happened in the past, what am I doing in the future, and I would love to learn how to be in the present moment and kind of just be here and not constant. I mean, when I lay down to sleep at night, I go through things that could have happened 10 years ago sometimes, where I'm thinking about it. Or I'm thinking about all the things that I didn't do that day and all the things I need to do the next day. And just kind of, it's a continuous cycle in my mind that I wish I could keep more quiet and live right now.
For sure. Yeah. So I guess the thing with that is you can't keep it more quiet, right? It's the analogy is kind of being like a little bit pregnant,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't be a little bit pregnant.
Yeah.
Either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. So
Yeah.
it's like you can't really keep your mind a little bit quiet. Either you're dedicating your resources to it and you're thinking about the day, as you said, or you're thinking about what's going to happen and the illusion of tomorrow, which is kind of comical in some respects because I mean, you know what I mean? Definite for sure that you will wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your organism could come to an end in that unconscious state that evening as you rest. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
So it's the idea of dedicating the resources to the thoughts, right? I mean, the psyche generates thoughts. The mind generates thoughts. That's just the way it is. That's just what it's designed to do, evolutionary speaking. So we can't necessarily turn that off, but what we can do is we can not dedicate our resources. And what do I mean by that? Well, just dedicating our thought to it. When you go down to bed at night and thoughts come up, we latch onto those thoughts and then we create stories about them. We create narratives about them. We narrate fictional stories about them. We have auditory, we have visual references, and then we use those and we run with them. And a lot of the times we get stuck in them. We get constrained in them throughout the course of our life. And that's kind of a bigger topic, which we can get into if you want to, but it all starts when we're children.
Okay.
When the ego comes online. And that's sort of where we live from those maladaptive, hypervigilant emotions that we experience. And we add 10, 20, 40, 60 years to that. And we wind up with a framework and a structure that we live by that's less than ideal at best.
So how can people recognize kind of that they're stuck in kind of the past or they're projecting what's going to happen in the future? How do people recognize that?
Yeah, that's the tricky part, right? That's Zach. You want me to call you Zach?
Zach, yeah.
Or Zachary? I don't know.
Zach,
People always
yeah.
ask me the same thing. But
Yeah, I'm Zach always. My mom calls me Zachary, but everybody else is Zach.
The mothers tend to call the son Zachary. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so it's a great point. It's a great question. I mean, that's the challenge of it, right? That's where it can be beneficial to have another human being, a reflection. That's part of the offering that I have to the world. But I mean, you don't need any of that. You just need awareness. And you don't need to learn anymore. You don't need to learn how to let go. That's the thing. The ego wants to be right? The ego is righteous. The ego wants to know how to do it perfectly. The ego wants to be perfect. And that again has to do with the maladaptive, hypervigilant emotions that kicked on at the age of usually 5 to 7 years old. So there is no learning how to do it right. There is no perfection because there's no such thing as imperfect, right? Those are, again, just constructs. Life is just as it is. And if life was perfect, it wouldn't move. And that's what this is. This life is moving. It's a physicality. It's a human being incarnate experience, right? So what we need to do if we want to live free in peace and contentment is we need to let go of the righteousness. We need to let go of the need to know and the need to learn. And then essentially just become aware and let go of it. Awareness is the tricky part.
Yeah.
But we can all do it. We can all do it. We just have to become aware. Like you just had a little bit of awareness, potentially in the fact that you were unaware, that at least you know that when you go to bed at night, as you said, thoughts come up and you tend to narrate and you tend to tell stories and you tend to reflect and ruminate on those things, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people don't even have that much awareness. So now that you're aware of that, you can decide what you want to do with it. You can decide if that's something that you want to keep experiencing, which is your choice, or if that's something that you want to let go of and fall asleep instead.
I want to let go of it 100%. So I definitely want to let go of it. I've tried different things. I've done acupuncture. I've tried meditation. I've done lots of things, and I can't seem to get there. So you've developed
you and a lot of other folks, right?
I think a lot of people. I think most of my friends, we talk about this, and it's so common where in a busy world today, it's kind of hard to quiet yourself a little bit at night and just live in that present moment.
So I'll give you kind of a quick cliff note of the reason why that is. So when we're born into this world, we're an empty slate, right? And there's an arbitrary experience that happens to us as human beings, usually between the age of 5 to 7. And it triggers a fight or flight mechanism. Fight or flight mechanism is an amygdala-based, reactionary, innate human design in order to fight for our life or to run away. Like there's a tiger in front of us. We can be silly and fight it and get eaten, or we can choose to run away. the evolution of that, we don't usually have to run from tigers nowadays. We're pretty
Yeah.
safe all in all as we sit here on our devices and our phones and our
Yeah.
comfortable conditions. So that hasn't adapted to the circumstances that we now have. That arbitrary experience when we're 5 to 7 years triggers this response. And because we're human and sentient and we have the ability to think, we reflect on that as ourselves, and we make that think that it's our issue. We feel abandoned, we feel not safe, we feel unloved. And then because of that, in order for us to be safe, loved, and unabandoned, we have to be perfect. So we do things in those arbitrary experiences, in those specific examples and subjective situations that are pretty much all the same for human with subtleties. And then we try and project that and be good enough so that our caregiver will love us, so that our caregiver will not abandon us. And then we create those beliefs and structures, and we live from those for 20, 40, 60 years. And that's why we get that intense behavior and that constant analyzing and that constant rumination. And that's kind of the sense of where it comes from. So it's tricky, and we don't know. Like, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. But once you know, that's a different story, right? Now you have a choice. Now you can make a decision once you know. And so when you think that you're living a story, like when you think that is actually your life, then there's nothing you can do. You're just stuck in that, right?
And how do you push yourself to make that decision? Like, if I say I want to make the decision and I want to live in the present, I don't want to think about the past or the future. What's the method that I have to follow in order to make that happen?
Well, that's the thing. You don't have to make anything happen, right? And you don't actually have to push yourself to do anything. See, it's all in the framework. It's all in the story that we have, right? So if we have a story that we have to push ourselves to do something, that comes from a place of needing motivation. And when we come from a place of motivation, what we're actually saying unconsciously is that we don't really want to be doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you have to get motivated to do things, it's usually because it's something that you'd rather not be doing.
That's true.
The thing that you love, the thing that calls to your heart, the thing that calls to your soul, the thing that makes you light up and dance and sing and laugh, that doesn't need any motivation at all. That doesn't even need any energy, right? That just happens.
Yeah.
You can stay up when you meet that special someone, or when you have a relationship with somebody and you talk on the phone until 5 o'clock in the morning and everything just keeps flowing. That's that dopamine in your brain. That's that love. That's that passion. There's no motivation required for that.
Yeah.
So it's only when we feel that we need to do things that we need that motivation, or that we need to, as you said, push ourselves to do something. So there's no framework of pushing or motivating or anything. It's just a question of letting it go.
Okay.
So as you mentioned a moment ago, it's the awareness of it, right? It's being aware of what you do and what you say and how you're behaving, and then just deciding that that's not something that you want to experience anymore and letting it go.
And can you give me an example of somebody that you kind of helped with this approach, and just where it's been, they're living a brand new life now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody that does this work, everybody that does these exercises lives a brand new life. A quick rundown of my methodology is basically what we do is we don't look at you. It's not personal, right? It's not scary.
Yeah.
Because we don't actually look at you. We're not interested in you. We're interested in the way that reality appears to you. And that is the nuance. That's where the experience of life actually is. Reality is just objective. The sun is here, the moon, the stars, the birds. We have gravity, we have water, we have various things in this world, and those are objective. It's the subjectivity of the way that we narrate and tell stories and experience those things that creates the reality of our life. So we basically look at a recent experience that was traumatic to you. I put air quotes around that because there's no such thing as trauma either. Trauma is just another story. But trauma is a very heavy-duty story that's been concretized in society, that's been created by psychology, and that keeps people stuck in therapy and suffering for the majority of their lives.
Yeah.
And it's just not accurate. All it is something that happened, right? So we need to let go of that, and we need to become aware of the stories and how they are subjective. So I had a client one time, and her husband left her. He took all the money. He was having an affair with his secretary. He was a lawyer, so he knew loopholes. She was a stay-at-home mom. The kids had been raised and were out. And he left her with everything. And she wasn't the most expansive person. And by that, I mean, she didn't have a lot of intelligence per se. Everybody has the same amount of intelligence. It's, again, that fear-based narrative that keeps people stuck and keeps them from progressing. So she was kind of stuck in her own right. And she had a pretty heavy-duty story. And it took us a little bit of time in order for her to let that go. And she got sick. She got disease, right? And her story was that he broke her heart.
Mm.
So if you can imagine what physicality she was experiencing, right?
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
had heart disease.
Hmm.
And that's a direct representation. That's a manifestation of her narrative, of her story. She actually believed that he broke her heart. So because of that story that she perpetuated for many years before we had our interaction, her physicality became ill and it manifested through her heart because that was the direct narrative, the direct correlation to her story.
Wow.
But you see that's inaccurate, right?
Yeah.
Like he didn't break her heart.
Yeah.
Like her heart's not made of glass. He didn't pull it out and then smash it into a million pieces and put it back in. He didn't take a knife and cut it in half like a piece of steak. He didn't break anything. What he actually did was he had relations with another woman. He took some fiat currency from some numbers and accounts that they had and moved it somewhere else that was outside of her reach,
Mm-hmm.
and no longer carried on a relationship with her. Left her contact, didn't make phone calls to her anymore, didn't send numbers and texts across internet screens to emails, didn't do any of those things. That's all the objectivity of what happened. But the subjective narrative of that story was that he broke her heart. And so she got sick. And she suffered exponentially until she got sick. And then when she let go of that, everything changed. She healed and she lived free.
Yeah.
And then once you're free, wow, now you're no longer living in fear. And that's a whole other story in itself. But that's when the creative brain comes online. That's when the neocortex lights up. And that's when the brilliance and intelligence of a human being, the one who is so powerful that they're able to create an entire universe within this framework, that's when that organism thrives.
And why do you think it's so difficult for people to let these beliefs and stories go that don't serve them?
Well, it's multifaceted, right? I mean, the society and the structure that we have, from the narcissistic, political, and educational, and really every modality and every structure that we have is designed this way. It's designed to keep people asleep. It's designed to keep people afraid and to keep people from being creative, because when people are afraid and not creative, they're easy to control. And if you're narcissistic and psychopathic and you want to control people and run things the way that you want them, then fear and control is a good thing because it allows you to easily do that. So that's one reason why. But there's a real big reason too, is that a lot of people, because of the way that things are set up, the lack of education, the lack of awareness more than anything, the ego gets validation for its sufferings, for its woes, for its perceived traumas, right? People love to trauma bond, which is another hot topic word, right? Where they essentially hold it, metaphorically speaking, they hold hands in misery and walk each other down the road. Yeah. So I had a client one time who, not actually had a client, she talked to me for about 25 minutes, dumped a whole bunch of things on me, horrors and woes of her life and story. I told her about the work, and she said, "Oh, I wouldn't be interested in that."
Why wouldn't she?
That's what I was curious as. I said, "So you wouldn't be interested in peace and freedom?" And she said, No. She said, "I like to complain too much."
Oh.
And I said, yeah. So she had a good friend of hers who likes to complain as well. And the two of them get together a couple times a week and they unleash on each other. And the ego gets validation for that, right? It's a release. I mean, when there's like the physicality of air brakes in a vehicle and like a transport truck or something, it builds up pressure. And when you're driving along, you can hear that thing blow off. Yeah. Right. So it blows off steam. So that's essentially what that human does too. It builds up these narratives and these stories of this fictional pressure, and then it trauma bonds with its friend and it blows the steam off. And then it gets transitory relief, right? So it feels better for just a tiny little moment. But the problem is every time you do that, every time you complain, every time you operate from a victim mindset, you're validating that and you're adding that more fuel to that, if you will. You're concretizing that more in your experience. So you just get more of it. So a long-winded way around that was she complained for 25 minutes. She had diabetes. She was overweight. She didn't like her life. There was many things that were an issue to her. She wasn't liking her job at all. She wished da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. And then when I asked her to let go of it, she said she had no interest in it. And so the cognitive dissonance there is something that she can't see. And as much as we talked, and, my commitment is to people who are prepared to do the work, people who want to do the work. So some of my sessions can go as long as 7 hours. Some of them last 2 minutes. It's usually about an hour and a half, give or take. Yeah. But it depends on the human being specifically. And so she couldn't see that. So that's her choice. Her ego chooses to stay in that framework, in that reference. So a long-winded answer to your question is structurally society is set up that way, and the ego gets validated for that. The ego doesn't want to change. The ego wants to know how to do things perfectly so that it can be perfect.
I understand that, but if you're telling her that you could have a better life, she I don't understand, like, why somebody would want to stay in that world of complaining and being miserable. I mean, I get the ego piece, I get it, but I just like you're kind of telling her, like, "Think about this," and I feel like she didn't think about it. Is that accurate?
That's
I mean,
exactly,
okay,
exactly. It's not even that she didn't think about it, Zach. She didn't have the ability to, right? Because
okay.
she's so deep and stuck into that construct
Mhm.
that she can't even hear the words that I'm saying. Like the majority of human beings don't have the art of listening. And so I say the art of listening because listening is a real skill. The
Mhm.
majority of people are just waiting for you to stop talking so that they can say what they want to say.
I
So
agree
they
with
can't
that.
hear you. Yeah. So they can't hear you because the mind is so loud. The ego is so loud, judging, creating opinions with its righteousness, discounting what another human being has to say, putting another human being off. A narcissistic, grandiose structure, right?
Yeah.
Or covert, which is even worse because that's just a quiet, hidden, sheepish version of it. So that's even more detrimental. At least if you exonify that outlandishly into the world, it's there, as opposed to kind of hiding it in the shadows. But she couldn't even hear what I said, in the fact that the dissonance was so strong between her 25 minutes of complaining and the inability to see that gap between the simplicity of letting it go and the idea of continually perpetuating it.
And so how do you end it with her? That's it, like, after
That's it.
25 minutes? If she doesn't wanna do it, then there's nothing you can do to help, right? Is that
There's
kind of a
nothing you can do. That's it. That's the only thing with this work is you have to be coachable, right? And a lot of people are not coachable because they don't want to be.
And do you know within the first few minutes if somebody's coachable or not?
9 times out of 10, yeah.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. Sometimes it changes. It depends, right? It depends on, and that's where the art of listening and the art of sort of infiltrating the ego and the specificity of each situation can be beneficial. Is sometimes you can get into, like I had a person that I dealt with one time, and it was about 7 hours,
Wow.
and yeah, and I mean, the thing is, they weren't prepared to quit, right? So most people are scared when they get into this, if they even have enough courage to do it.
Mhm.
And so sometimes when they're so fearful, they just freeze up. You know, that's a fight or flight kind of thing. Fight or flight or freeze, they call it too.
Yeah.
But they'll just freeze up from being so scared. Their mind stops working. They don't have an inability to move forward because the chatter in their head is so loud. So a lot of the time they'll just bow out right away. And that's fine. If they do that too, that's no problem. But the people like this human, the ego is strong, strong, strong in this one. So it took about 7 hours before we finally penetrated through that and could make enough space that we could see the illusions that we were actually living from.
And did they leave your session as they changed from the
Yeah,
7 hours?
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, like completely free. Went to sleep that night. Hadn't slept a full night's sleep in years. Went to sleep, full night's sleep. Woke up in the morning, no anxiety, feeling great. No more fear. No more narratives. No more constructs. Because as we said before, right? Once you know, you know.
Yeah.
Like you can't unknow something. But if you don't know it, then you don't know. So once you have that break, once you have that awareness and that shift.
What's your background? Like, how did you come up with this?
Yeah, a lot of suffering, a lot of
Okay.
experience. Yeah. So I mean, I've done all kinds of things in my life. I do a lot of different things. I ran a construction company for 25 years. I'm into creating things. I like to work on vehicles. I coach. I do all kinds of stuff. I
Yeah.
like to experience life myself. I'm a big proponent of the experience of everything that calls to me, everything that I've been introduced to or that I see. So I've had a lot of life experience, I guess, and
Yep.
a lot of suffering through things and just trying to figure it out. When I was really, really young, I knew that there was always more to this. I thought there was something different. It always felt to me like something was missing or just not right, or I couldn't put my finger on it. I still can't, because it was just based on my fear-based illusions as a child, my fight or flight mechanism that got triggered at age 5, and the
Yeah.
way that I felt abandoned, not good enough, not loved, and tried desperately, like everybody does, in order to embody those things.
So do you think that you have a great life now? Are you happy with it?
Oh my goodness. It's not even a question. Like, I'm happy with it. I'm sad with it. I'm joyful with it. I'm all of the gamut of emotions, right? Because emotions are just sensations.
Yeah.
Like, emotions are just designed to depict the current experience, right? And that's it. So yeah, I mean, my life is content, and because I'm content, I'm peaceful and I'm free.
Yeah. So, if somebody is interested in doing this, can they be anywhere in the world and contact you? And is it done
Yeah,
over Zoom or whatever, like online?
yeah. It's usually Zoom or WhatsApp, and sometimes we do FaceTime or Skype, depending. But yeah, Zoom is the popular one, and yeah, absolutely. Anyone, anywhere in the world is has freedom available to them.
And is it usually it takes the one conversation, the one session, and it could go for however long, but that's usually all that they need, or do they need to kind of come back for more?
No, that's the thing that's beautiful about this work and about this structure, is that it's not therapy, right? It's not so there is no ongoing thing that's required.
Yeah.
It's just one session. It's awareness, and it's awareness and letting go, and that's it. So
Once you kind of teach somebody this or show them this, are they able to kind of go off and show other people as well to kind of share it with other people and how to do it? Or is it best to kind of come to you for it?
no, I mean, not at all, right? That's the thing. And I always tell people, like, you don't need my content, you don't need my course, my coaching, you don't need any of that. All you need is awareness and the ability to let go. And you don't even need awareness, because, if you just adapt that idea and that framework of letting go, then that's all that the work actually is. So, in answer to your question, a lot of people that become enlightened,
Mm.
that's what I call it, for lack of a better term,
Yeah,
and
I like that word.
consciousness.
Sounds like the right word.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's the thing. There is no right or wrong word, right? I mean, right or wrong is, again, it gets tricky and nuanced, but that's another subjective interpretation, right?
Yeah.
So what you think is right, I might think is wrong. What you think is wrong, I might think is right. Now, I don't think anything like that. I don't have any beliefs at all, because belief to me is poison to the human intelligence. Like, when you believe something, you stop inquiring.
Yeah.
And then when you stop inquiring, you're stuck in that framework. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other esoteric conversation in itself, but we can get
Yeah.
into if you want. But to answer your question, yeah, once people experience freedom and peace and contentment, the thing is, a lot of, like, that's a different state of being, right? I mean, it's a beingness.
Yeah.
So other people see that, even if they don't actually cognitively recognize that they see it, and a lot of the time they do, because these humans completely change. So they recognize that, and they wonder, what's going on here? Or they wonder, like, what's different, or you've changed, or if they say it out loud or they don't. It's a new experience for them with this human that they've known for however long they have. And then, yeah, a lot of the time the trouble is, these people want everybody else to have freedom too, because anybody that experiences freedom wants somebody else to be free.
Yeah, that's why I
We
ask, 'cause I feel like,
Yeah.
like I said, me and my friends talk about the lack of sleep and constantly playing these narratives over in our head every night before we go to sleep. Like, I have one particular friend, Mandy, who constantly is the same thing. It's just the noise doesn't turn off or whatever. And so, if that's what you want to call it, the noise. But I
Sure.
think that, if I learned how to do this the right way and I could do it, then I would love to show other people, because I think it's, I want everybody to live that way. That way.
As do I. Well, I'd invite you to sign up for the coaching,
Yeah.
and then and then it's gone.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to do it. What's the kind of percentage of people though? Because I get what you're saying about someone's ego and not giving in, but what's kind of the percentage of people that you meet with that they come in thinking that they're gonna make this happen, and then they realize, or you realize, or you both realize that, yeah, you're not, this isn't for you because you're not ready to let go.
I would say pretty low. The real stopgap is kind of people doing this work to begin with,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like, somebody will see their mother or their brother or their sister or their friend free and peaceful, and they'll say like, "Oh my God, like you've got to do this work," and they'll say, or somebody will say like, "What happened? What do you know?" Well, I just became aware that I was living this ridiculous story, and then I let it go, and I mean, God, it's gone, and it's amazing. Oh, okay. Or it'll be somebody like that potential client I had who complains for 25 minutes and just adamantly tells me, "Oh, I wouldn't be interested in that work."
Yeah. I think
So
that's so strange.
yeah, well, that's the thing. It is strange in some respects, but it's not really, because that's the belief and that framework, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of spoke to a minute ago. How belief is poison to the human intelligence, like kind of like ethanol, arsenic is poison to the organism.
Mhm.
Like when you believe something, you will never believe something different. Like, so if you're a Christian, you're never going to have a Buddhist experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're like in another religion, you're never going to have the opposite religion. And if you believe that life is a horrible, terrible, malevolent thing, that's going to be what you experience. You're going to see that. And if you believe that this group of people is terrible and this group of people is good, then you're never going to see this group of people in that different way, right? If you're going to work and you believe that Karen at your work is a terrible, horrible human, you approach Karen and you experience your reality with Karen in such a fashion.
Yeah.
That's, of course, assuming that you're not lost in the rumination of your mind, which you are. But if you were actually able to spend moments with Karen in the presence, then you would experience her as that type of person. And if you experience Bob as this amazing, awesome, fun-loving guy, well, when you see Bob, that's the experience you have of Bob. And that's because that's the way you see him. That's your belief about him. And outside of spending time with both of those human beings, if you were to think about the two of them, you would also have the same reference point.
Yeah.
Bob is awesome and Karen is terrible, because that's your belief. But those beliefs don't serve you, and they keep you trapped in that framework, and they're only subjective, because there's no such thing as Bob being an awesome person or Karen being a terrible person. The reason you think Karen is terrible because she said something to your boss that got you in trouble when you weren't honoring your commitment and integrity to the job that you committed to.
Mm.
Bob is super cool because he brings you a coffee in the morning, and that one day he covered for you, so you got to go and spend an extra 5 hours with your kid.
Yeah.
That's the reality of what happened. That's not awesome. That's just Bob covering for you and Karen ratting you out, if you will, or telling your boss something, right? So, but those are your beliefs. So anytime we have a belief, like my client who had lack of a client, I suppose, potential client who had a belief that this work wouldn't be for her. Her belief was, no, I wouldn't be interested in that. So as long as she believes that, she's not going to embark on it, right?
And what about people that are just in a depression and I feel like this can possibly help them kind of come out of that depression if they could.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like I went through a depression years and years and years ago, and I felt like I was running the same things through my mind all day long, the negativity or whatever I was stuck in. It sounds like I'm not quite sure what I was stuck in, but it was not I was in a good time. But I feel like thinking about and becoming in present moment and kind of what we've been talking about, I feel like that would help somebody that has depression.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, depression is just a story too, right? Depression has a tendency to be the illusion of the past, the artifacts of the past. So if we're experiencing depression, we tend to ruminate on the things that have happened in our life. Not the things so much, but the experience of what's happened in our life, right? I mean, an anxiety is usually the opposite of that. It usually comes from our projection of the future, thinking that not tomorrow will not be okay, or next week or next month, right? So, but at the end of the day, they're just stories for sure. And I mean, this work doesn't help. This work alleviates all of that, because when you're living in the moment, there's no story. There's just the moment. When you're just experiencing life, you're just the experience of life. That's it. There's no rumination. So the idea of anxiety or depression or any ailments and diseases is the same kind of thing too, right? This gets rid of anything. I mean, when you're free and content, your vision improves, your hearing gets better, your skin clears up. You're no longer thinking about these stories. So you're not adding fuel to this fire. You're not creating narratives about how Bob is a horrible human being or how my husband broke my heart and then you wind up manifesting cancers and diseases, and
Yeah.
because there's none of that. There's none of that storytelling. There is only the experience of life. And the best thing about that is, I kind of touched on it briefly, but when you are living in the present moment and you're not in a fight or flight mechanism, then you're not shunting resources. You're not turning on cortisol and adrenaline, and you're not pumping those into your amygdala, which is the little nut-shaped portion of your brain that's designed for the fight or flight mechanism. You're not feeding that fresh oxygenated blood. You're not pumping resources to that, so it doesn't grow in size and it doesn't perpetuate that framework and that behavior more.
Mm-hmm.
What happens then is your cortex comes online. So the neocortex lights up. That's where the resources go, and that's the creative, expansive part of your brain. That's the part of your brain that answers just come to. That's the part of your brain that's creative. That's the part of your brain that can evoke the passion and the uniqueness of this incarnation of life. Like, everybody has a love and a unique gift, if you will, for lack of a better way to explain it, and something that they love to do that can add value to the world. It's just most of us have been told we can't, we shouldn't. And I mean, when we should all over ourselves, then we just wind up.
If someone is interested in working with you, how do they get in touch with you?
You can just, my Linktree is the best option. Just Linktree, my name / Zac Russell. It's got all my info there. Sign up for the coaching. It's got my social media stuff. You can contact me through there.
Great. And so anybody listening to this podcast or watching this video, I will put it in the descriptions, his Linktree, and his website. So go and check it out. And I think I love the conversation. What you said makes total sense. I'm going to sign up myself because I think this would be fantastic for me, just to be able just to live in the present and clear my mind. So I'm totally open to it. I'm not going to be the client you had that was 25 minutes complaining. I'm open to it. So.
Hey, it is what it is, right? It's not even so much that. It's just the ability, the wanting change is the first part. The wanting to let go, right?
Yeah,
that's really the crux.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Again, check out Zac Russell's Linktree, which is in the description, and reach out to him and leave a comment and let us know what you thought about the episode, and be sure to subscribe. So thanks so much for being on, Zac. It was so nice meeting you.
Thank you so much for having me, Zac. I appreciate it.
Thanks everybody. Have a great week.